The hackathon is now over. Thank you, everybody, for hacking throughout the weekend. It's been a crazy adventure, and we open now this afternoon stage with something a bit special that we've been organizing. So I had this wild idea that people had issues post-hackathon, or people would just come and hack and go for the bounties, and that's all good. I think that's amazing. But I also wanted to create something a bit special called the All-Stars track. And everybody thought that was a bit crazy because ETH Global told me it was too difficult to organize, and I thought, well, we'll see what happens. But basically, I wanted a place to shine light on hackers, developers that have already won at previous hackathons, people that have more experience in the space, people that have built already projects and that have obviously have had sort of a track record at other hackathons, and that could basically start hacking earlier. So on the 19th of April, we launched what we called the pre-hackathon for the All-Stars track. It was also where people could meet their mentors and our hackathon partners for the first time. And basically, we were giving sort of a month jumpstart for teams, for projects to start building and to have the chance to pitch to all of you here on stage for 5 minutes. I would assume that these projects are like well thought, but of course, like with everything in development, things take time. But I think with a time crunch and with this stage as sort of well, something to look forward to, I could inspire basically people to build the next big thing, the next unicorn in the space. Why not? So to that purpose, we developed the All-Stars track, which is, we told people to compete for glory. We told people this is the stage for the Champions League, if you will, of hackathons. And we have a sort of a special format as well, where I'm inviting Tim from BrainBot and Justin from Cyber Capital to basically play as the free market that is out there for all the projects. What does it look like for projects that win hackathons, that want to continue to build? What does it look like when you have to start talking to investors? What are VCs looking for? And what does it look like post-hackathon, post this wonderful safe space that we have for a couple of days, a couple of hours? What does it look like when you're out there and you have to pitch this not one time, not 2 times, but actually hundreds of times until you find the right partners, the right investors that believe in you and want to continue and support you? So on that note, I would like to give the stage to the first All-Stars project. Limone, are you ready? Limone! Keep in mind the time up there. That's for you. We won't wait. Don't start the track immediately. Give him the moment the computer connects. Then he has 5 minutes. I would like to also invite Justin and Tim to the stage. BrainBot, Maven 11, and Cyber Capital are offering mentorship basically for these projects. So I hope this is a nice experience. Is Tim?
See?
Yeah. And then you have your mic in here. All right. Break a leg.
Wow. Check. Check. All right. Should I? Yeah. Bobby Safe is a safe app and safe module that me and my friends, we built it last weekend in ETH Global Lisbon, and we won a bounty from ZK Bob. Basically, it's a private payment. We are allowing private payments from your Safe Smart account. So we're integrating the Safe direct deposit module with a Safe wallet, and we're also integrating with Uniswap, because we are allowing our users to pay with different tokens, and behind the scenes we are swapping those tokens with Bob tokens. If you're not familiar with ZK Bob, it's a private payments tool built with zero knowledge proof, And of course, it allows for anonymous transactions. So how does it work? You simply install our Safe app, you enable the module, and then you enter the payment details, so the amount, the token that you want to transfer, and the ZK Bob receiver address. You can pay with some coins now. So for RC20 tokens, Ape coins, USDC, Ghost from Aave, and then of course the Bob token. Some possible use cases for this project will be privacy-preserving payroll system for DAOs, untraceable donations and contributions, private rewards and loyalty programs, maybe even scheduled anonymous payments. So basically, we are allowing all the ZK Bob's use cases through a Safe Smart account. So we're taking benefit of account abstraction for multi-send, scheduling, and whatever. How does it work behind the scenes? So if you're paying with Bob, we don't need to swap anything through Uniswap. We are simply interacting with the Safe module and depositing the Bob tokens in the ZK Bob contract. While if you're paying with other tokens, there's an additional step, the number 5, and we are swapping, let's say, USDC with Bob, and then we're directly inside the module, we are depositing those Bob tokens again. So I'm going to go forward with a live demo. Here is my Safe wallet. There's a custom app called Bob is Safe. There's one step that I'm skipping here about enabling and deploying the module. So it's already set up. I can specify an amount. I can get an example ZK Bob receiver address, copying here, and here I can select. For example, I can go with 5 USDC, clicking on transfer. Let's hope that yeah. Now going through MetaMask, all right, and now the transaction is pending. So behind the scenes, here we are interacting with our Safe smart contract module, and we are swapping the USDC with Bob tokens. And finally, we're also depositing those Bob tokens in the smart contract, in the ZK Bob smart contract. Here I can make another payment, or I can also check my transactions. You can see that we sent 5 USDC from our Safe, and we can also check the transaction here, still loading. And also in a couple minutes, we should be able to see more Bob tokens here. The girly relayer by ZK Bob is a little bit slow, so it will take some time. And here you can see what we did. So we transferred some RC20 USDC through Bob, and then also in the logs, there should be a direct deposit event. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you. What should I?
Do you want to start, or I'll take it away? So just some questions, because we're here to also look at it from like an investment perspective as well, to help out from that regard. So is there a token? Is there a company? How would this be monetized?
I think, the project was born 1 week ago, so we are still figuring out these details. But the first idea about monetization could be either one-time payment to enable the module, or adding a fee when you're transferring, let's say, 5 USDC, we apply a commission fee and we get part of those tokens that you want to transfer. These are the first 2 options that come from our mind, but not sure if they are the best one actually.
I think it was in the details there, but I didn't get a chance to see it. What is the gas cost like for this transaction?
Yeah, let's see. We're on Gorley. Yeah, 64, great. I mean, we can, of course, optimize. We're thinking about, for example, now the Uniswap swap is directly inside the smart contract, the module. We are thinking also about extracting that part and moving things around to optimize gas fees, but also to have like a lighter smart contract. And that's already in line. Other things that we are planning to implement already is, for example, adding the history of transactions. This is the ZK Bob interface, and they offer also an SDK that we could use to integrate some of this data in our Safe app directly, so that you have one single place where, let's say, to manage your DAO's wallet and basically send payments around without disclosing the amounts and check your history and whatever.
64 Gwei is actually pretty cheap, so that's actually really good.
Yeah.
And, I also noticed the user experience. That was very smooth.
Thank you.
Would there be some setup that we missed here initially, or?
Yeah, I can show you a little bit, Aki, but so when you first install the app, you have this step here, which is enable module. I can do it right now, and you have to pay more gas, of course. And this time we are calling the factory of our smart contract, deploying a copy of our module and automatically enabling it in the safe wallet. So after this step, everything is set up for like sending payments.
Fantastic. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I'm usually a pretty tough critic, but I'm unable to poke holes, major holes in it so fast. So I'm actually like what I'm seeing here.
Thank you.
So yes, first of all, thank you very much for the pitch. Really, really interesting. I was wondering, will you also be able, if you would utilize this tool for payroll, to like directly send different amounts to different wallet addresses?
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Safe, that we can integrate it with multi-send transactions, still sending Bob tokens to many different addresses in one single step. Yeah, one single approve, let's say.
Nice. So it's basically request finance with a privacy layer on it.
Yeah. So we are benefiting from ZK Bob's privacy layer that allows us to send money and withdraw them without disclosing the receiver. And we're benefiting from Safe for the infrastructure and toolkit related to account abstraction and all that comes with it.
Yeah, I also have to say I'm really impressed by the project. And at Brainbot, we look at ventures always from 3 angles: viability, so which means is there a sustainable revenue model behind it? It seems to be doable in some way. Feasibility, is it possible to build a product, which you already like proved here? And desirability, which means does it solve a problem and do people want this? And I can definitely see a use case here. So yeah, really appreciate listening to your pitch here.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Round of applause. Thank you, Limone. Maybe one question from the audience. Does anybody have a question for them? I will start using Slido again, so if anybody wants to ask questions during this, Slido.com, and the code is 323232. 3 validators, that's easy. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. Do you have one last comment for everybody here?
Thank you for your attention. It was really unexpected to be here presenting today. I mean, again, this project was born last week, and it was an idea created in one afternoon with my friends. I don't know, I don't see you, Frank. Are you around, Frank? No.
Bob is here.
Here is Frank. So thank you, Frank, and thank you, Fabrizio, for their help. It's a team of 3, and we are good friends, so it's always nice to create and build stuff with you guys. Thank you.
Since you're on stage, I'll do mention your T-shirt. Urbe ETH, City ETH is Rome. They are organizing a hackathon, a privacy hackathon, actually, this October. So if anybody wants to continue hacking in a few months in Rome, find Limone. And all the guys in red. All the other teams, I've been informed, all the other hackers that are not in the All-Stars track have to present and pitch on the last stage. So anybody that's in the room now, but that's in the regular track, the last floor is where your judges are waiting for you. So just, yep, good.
I'm not sure how much time we're spending on each project here. I could add a few more things.
5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
We're going to keep it short and sweet, so thank you, Limone.
Thank you so much.
All right. Next project, I'm gonna look in the room. There you go. Roscoe, come on stage. Your turn. Apparently, this is the third time. This is the third time that Roscoe is participating in a hackathon that I've organized. So he's, can I just call you a Crypto Canal alumni at this point? But yes, round of applause for Roscoe. I look forward to your presentation. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. Wait, do I have to speak in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do this. That's fine. Oh, yeah. This works. Hi, guys. I'm Roscoe. I work on Revoke.cash, which is a token approvals management website. And I want to take you back about a month ago when this was the headline. SushiSwap had a bug in one of their router contracts, a new contract, across 14 chains. And not just was it able to, were hackers able to take funds out of that contract, but also all the approved funds from users' wallets. Luckily, it was only 4 days old, so not that many people lost their money, but it was still over 3 million lost just by this one incident. And so that kind of made me think, because usually at that time, and also this time, everybody tells you, go to Revoke.cash, make sure you don't have any approvals to these addresses. But if you have used Revoke.cash, yeah, if your allowance list looks like this, what am I gonna revoke? How do I know what I need to revoke, right? What does all this mean even? So that kind of made me think, we kind of need an easier way for these situations, because usually there's a lot of panic. So I went digging for other exploits, like the SushiSwap one, where your approved funds were at risk as well, and created this open source database of a lot of different exploits, and some explanations and everything of what these exploits did, how much was lost, but most importantly, which addresses, which chains were the vulnerable ones. And then based on that, we implemented the new Revoke.cash exploits checker, which is what I'm sharing with you guys today, which is a list of all of these exploits, and all of them have a simple checker where, okay, this is the SushiSwap hack, right? Okay, well, it was 14 chains. Let me see, check my connected address, and it just tells me that I am safe. So that's a much easier way for people to understand whether they are wrecked, whether they need to do anything. And next time something like this happens, some hack like this, it will be super easy for us to just have a new checker for that as well, so that people, know whether they're safe or not. Yeah, that's what we worked on for the past weeks. It's live, so we launched it this week. So yeah, if you're worried, go check it out.
You even did your pitch in less than 5 minutes, so it seems like you're ready to pitch this to many more people.
Yes, sure. Yeah, so funny enough, I did conduct some research just lately on the whole security space, and then I also checked out Revoke.cash, and I was like, I totally get the value add of the tool, but the user experience is quite tough, having to choose different chains and having to go for all these allowances one by one. So yeah, perfectly hit the nail here. I was wondering, is it basically only for checking on hacks which just appeared, or did you also set up something where you can check on an aggregated basis per dApp what allowance you are having with the dApp, and you can just revoke the allowances for one specific dApp and all the related contracts.
So you're asking to just see it sort of like grouped by dApp. So that's not something that we have right now. I mean, if you go to the regular sort of allowances dashboard that we have, we do try to label things by their dApp, but then of course there's different accounts that are, or different addresses related to it. So it might be an interesting use case to have sort of like group those, and that could be a thing.
First of all, I just want to say this is a great use case. Well, I would say a very important use case, because I think the way Ethereum works with access, and maybe just for the audience here a little bit, if you give a smart contract full access, if there's something wrong with that smart contract, it can actually drain your entire address, which I think is pretty crazy. So that's why something like this is actually very, very important. I feel kind of bad doing this, but then because I need to come at it from an investment perspective. Right. How do you see the revenue model working for something which is, I actually think, like a public good? So I'm a bit conflicted asking the question, but I'd like to hear your view on that.
Yeah. So I would agree that this is mostly a public good. And, so Revoke.cash has been around for a while as a public good. Mainly making revenue through donations, sponsorships, things like that. For specifically this new exploits feature that we built in the past month, I kind of see that also continuing to be a public good. I do have some ideas on like potentially adding certain monetized features that are like add-ons, just to make sure that the project can grow and keep developing. But mostly I want to make sure that this stays accessible to everyone, and if that's possible, then so there's no real monetization built in or planned.
Fair enough. Where's the front end hosted, or how is it hosted?
So it's just like regular hosting. It's on Vercel. But all of the code, everything for Revoke.cash is open source, so it's very possible for anyone to host their own version if they want to. But right now, it's just a centralized hosting.
Okay, that's fair enough, honestly. So just so I understand this correctly, it would reveal any known exploits, but it would also tell you which contracts have that type of unlimited access, so therefore have the potential to drain your wallet.
Yeah, so the regular Revoke.cash dashboard, which has been around for a while, that will just give you all of your access. So all of the tokens, all of the approvals, and then specifically this add-on that we developed this month is specifically for those cases where there is a known hack and you want to check it out. But of course, it's better to make sure that your allowances are sort of kept in check. Not like my wallet here, to make sure that it's kind of limited what can be stolen in the first place.
Well, I want to be critical and shoot everyone down as I usually do, but I unfortunately I can't with this one. I actually think this is a very valuable tool, and this is the kind of thing I think we should be promoting as part of the Ethereum community. So I just want to say, well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I was wondering, would it be possible, or maybe you already did integrate it, to connect this tool to something like Push, where you would get like an automatic notification when something like this happens?
That's definitely something to add. I've had the same feedback from other people as well, and I think that would be hugely valuable to have, just so that people don't really have to go on there, but they just get notified like there's something you need to do. That's super useful. I will also say that, unfortunately, in like most of these cases, if you have this access, if you have these approvals, and a hack like this happens, you're already too late to save the funds in your wallet, usually, because these hacks get executed in like a single transaction. They drain everything they can. But even in those cases, you still need to revoke that access, because if you don't, the next time you get new funds in your wallet, they will get drained as well. So, so these notifications are super useful in any case, but we haven't really found a way to prevent that besides managing your allowances in the first place.
No additional questions from my end. I also have to say, really appreciate that you are building such a tool.
Thank you.
Is there any questions from the audience?
Hi there. I have actually a question and a comment. There was a drop-down menu there when you put your address in. That when you put your address in, does it check all the chains, or you have to go through each one of them to check it?
Right now, you have to go through each one of them to check it. Of course, it would be a great extension to check everything at once. But as it is right now, it's the infrastructure behind it is pretty intensive to run. So then that's why it's sort of like one by one.
And just a quick comment about the monetization of it, because you asked about it. Wouldn't it be a solution to do something like where you partner with, for example, SushiSwap, so that they pay this service as part of their sort of like CSR because they've been hacked, and then they have to do this because in Web 2, if a company gets hacked, they are obliged to, inform the people about it, and then through this, maybe this will be a good way of funding it.
Yeah. I mean, something like that would be super useful, or like that makes sense. So if anyone knows someone at SushiSwap, let them know.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, first of all. Are you thinking about account abstraction wallets and how such a tool would fit into there, where it could perhaps directly be integrated? And perhaps, again, going to the monetization thing, even though it's annoying, maybe integrating with a wallet provider and monetizing it that way?
Yeah, I think like the most requested feature always from people is, hey, why can't I revoke all of my allowances at once? Which is not possible with like externally owned accounts. So account abstraction or smart contract wallets would be super useful to have something like that, and there would be a lot more things that you can do. Having something like integrated, like automated revoking or something like that. If something like that happens, I think that would be super interesting, and there could be some interesting ways to monetize there as well. I like the suggestion.
Any other questions? How long did this take you?
Longer than I would have hoped, I guess. Because I don't know. I feel like that's always the case with just developing things, that it always takes longer than you think it will take. But also just finding out all of these exploits. Like I went through hundreds of pages of like different news sources to find out like, oh, what kind of exploits happened in the past, and like it goes back to like 2020. And I'm sure that this still is not the full list of exploits that people might want to know about, which is also why this list is open source. And there's a report exploit button here that takes you to the repository where, hopefully if you guys check out this page and you notice anything missing, please do report that and help make it better.
What motivates you to build Revoke.cash?
Yeah, I think it's just super important that people are able to keep their wallet safe. There's a lot of scamming, a lot of hacking going on in crypto, and if I can help make people lose less money, then that would be great.
Thank you. And we have one last question.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to maybe a side trail, but would this not be better to know these kinds of things before the fact? I mean, basically, I mean, like from a UI UX perspective, right? Like, I can tell my parents, hey, here's a wallet, go nuts on the internet, have a great time. They're going to sign a bunch of stuff. Like, is there not some way you can kind of build into like the wallet interface? Hey, don't sign this. There's something bad in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be ideal. So I think there's two sort of answers to this, and like, so one is sort of for certain things you can have a pretty good idea whether what you're signing is going to be like draining your wallet or not, which is usually the case in things like phishing scams, where you go to like a website and then you think you're minting an NFT, but actually you're approving an allowance to all of your funds. And for those cases, I mean, there is a Revoke.cash browser allowance, thanks for the bridge, that will tell you that you are doing something dangerous and maybe push you to not do that. But in these cases, for like the new dashboard functionality, like the new exploit checker, these are usually things where like a bug is discovered after like some time, whereas like it's a legitimate project like SushiSwap. You know, people have been using SushiSwap for years, and it's just kind of hard to analyze just like all the smart contract code to understand if there would be any bugs possible. So in those cases, it's really not. It's almost impossible to sort of warn you of that before the fact. But that also highlights sort of the importance of just managing your allowances in the first place. You know, if you don't have too many allowances, then there's not that many places where you can get wrecked.
All right. Thank you so much. Round of applause for Roscoe and Revoke.cash.
Thank you.
I guess this is also a good time to tell you all that we are running a quadratic fund for ETHDam. V later on from the Ethereum Foundation will be explaining a bit more in detail how the quadratic funding works. But all of you should have received, or go grab one, a little card at the Crypto Canal booth. It gives you your Macy cards. And I think more than ever, when we see use cases like this where maybe the investors and the VCs don't see maybe the obvious business case, this is a way of funding public goods and of for all of you in the audience to make your vote count as well and support different types of projects out there. So keep in mind your power and your vote in this case. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the third project of the All-Stars track. Welcome. You can connect here.
Yeah, thank you. Give this one a go.
Again, if I didn't check Slido this time, but if you have any questions, you can use Slido at 32, 32, 32. All right.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I'm seeing that. I'm just waiting for the screen to go on and the timer. And you're good to go. Good luck.
Okay. Awful lot of people here, right? Sorry, today I'd like to present to you guys the Rysk Roller. Effectively, I view this as the evolution of decentralized options trading. Now, first of all, I want to talk about what the problem is.
One moment.
Oh.
Let's reconnect the HDMI.
Oh no, how terrible.
That's better. And
lovely.
in the mic. Closer, yes.
I'm going to stand up here so I feel taller, right? God damn it. No.
Tech issues is so classic. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to go.
So, options trading is hard, right? I'm sure a lot of us have attempted to play the options game. We've gone and bought a load of calls, and we've seen how it's gone. And most of us have lost all of our money. 90% of retail traders lose 90% of their money within 90 days of participating in the markets. Now, why is that in particular in options trading? Personally, I think it's because to do intelligent option trading, you need to do quite a lot of complex computation, and you need to reliably, consistently implement those strategies over a long period of time in order to capture as much alpha as possible. So retail participation is particularly low in options as opposed to if you ignore the whole Wall Street bets phenomenon. Now, one of the reasons for this is that it's a lot more complicated to purchase an option and trade an option than it is to just, for example, do a straight swap on SushiSwap. Now, what we have to propose a solution for this is effectively the idea of automating these strategies, using autonomous.tech to provide complex off-chain computation, and using Rysk in order to... Rysk is a new protocol that effectively provides a decentralized AMM for options prices. Now, that would mean that we would be able to implement options trading strategies in a completely decentralized way with completely using complex off-chain logic secured on-chain. I'm going to give you a quick bit of background as to what both of these protocols are. So Autonomous is effectively a framework that allows you to build decentralized co-ownable AIs that are extensible, composable, and can effectively act as signatories to a controlled safe wallet. What that means is that you have a number of agents implementing a distributed finite state machine that has its state transitions secured by a local Tendermint node, of which only the agents who participate in the service are actually allowed to update and publish blocks to. So that's interesting. So we've got something that can give us off-chain compute. What can we do with that off-chain compute and a protocol like Rysk? Rysk, as I say, gives us on-chain automated market making for options. It's got very deep liquidity and a very tight spread. Now, what that means is that we can potentially plug all of these things together. And first of all, I just want to give a quick bit of background. This project originally grew out of something called the liquidation station that we built in Zurich, which was effectively a way to implement a very similar stack to go ahead and perform decentralized liquidations on the OVEX protocol. Unfortunately, to, shall we say, third-party actors, that protocol is no longer tradable at this point in time, meaning that we had to explore an alternative way to use the stack in order to accomplish our goal of democratizing complex financial derivatives. So we found the Rysk protocol, which has effectively allowed us to go ahead and implement a number of components. One is the Rysk Roller, which is effectively an application built on the Autonomous stack that implements a wheel trading strategy. I'll cover that in a bit more detail in a moment, don't worry. So we've also implemented an EIP 4626 tokenized vault contract that will effectively allow our users to go ahead and deposit funds into this vault, then have our complex off-chain computation collection of AIs effectively decide what options they're going to buy, sell, trade, and do all kinds of fun stuff with. So what I'm going to do is I'll just quickly talk you through the liquidation station because it's legacy, right? So with that one, we would collect the positions, we'd calculate the health of each position, we'd prepare the liquidation transactions, and then we would submit them. That's good for liquidations, but how do we implement something like that for options? Well, I'll tell you. It's a lot more complicated, I know, but it's worth it. So first of all, I want to quickly cover what the wheel strategy is as though you were to go ahead and implement it as a manual trader. Let's say you were to start off with, I don't know, $10,000 of USDC. What you would do is you would sell a covered put against Ethereum at a strike price much below that of the market rate. Now, when you've sold that put, one of two things are going to happen. Either that put's going to expire in the money, meaning that you have effectively got the obligation to purchase that Ether at a discount, or it's going to expire out of the money, meaning that you've just collected the premium for free. Now, I just want to quickly point out that obviously these premiums are based on the volatility of the underlying asset plus the utilization of the ratio of the actual underlying protocol. So we're now in this position where we have sold a put. We'll go for the negative case where we have to then go ahead and get exercised on that option. What we will do at that point is we will conduct a swap from USDC to ETH, purchase at our predetermined strike price, and then at that moment, we will go ahead and instantly sell a call at a slightly higher strike price using the Ethereum that we've just purchased at a discount, right, in order to effectively sell a covered call, which will enable us to go ahead and collect more premium. Now, I just want to quickly point out yet again that one of two things can happen with that call that we've just sold. Either it can expire in the money, or it can expire out of the money. If it expires in the money, and we then have to get exercised against, what that effectively means from the perspective of our portfolio, once we conduct the swap back from ETH to USD, is that we've effectively captured like the gain on that, along with all the premium that we've collected while we've waited for that adventure to occur. So that's kind of the idea. How did we implement it? Well, I guess I finished all of that. Basically, what I actually have is our running multi-agent service with our. I've actually only got one of the agents running because you know time's an absolute devil on these things, right? So what I've spun up on the right is a local Tendermint network. What I'm about to run on the left here is a single agent of my old multi-agent service, which will then go ahead and step through its finite state machine. bear with it a moment. It's quite a complex app, right? It runs in Python, you know. We're collecting to an agent communication network to let the agents talk to each other. We've got the Tendermint chain up there. And if you have a look on the left, you can notice the state transitions. We're collecting data from Subgraph. We're then doing calls on the contract.
I feel really bad.
Oh.
But you've gone over time, so I think thank you so much.
No worries.
Judges, do your thing.
I have a few questions. Yeah, this. So first of all, you were marketing this, if I may, as something that is more accessible, and so that normal people can do options trading, which I will say I don't think that's a good thing to put out there, because that's a very risky thing, and this presentation, that was not at all easy to understand. So I think it's going to take a bit of work to get that pitch smooth, to make it more understandable. I have some questions, because you mentioned AI, and you mentioned off-chain AI and Tendermint. So are you spinning up your own Tendermint chain?
Yeah, so effectively...
In the microphone.
Effectively, the autonomous stack lets you define a service, which is a collection of agents. Each one of those agents, think of it as a Python process, will go ahead and have access to its own Tendermint node that it will spin up, and it will use that to communicate its state transitions. Each one of the agents implements the exact same code that we have verification with IPFS hashes with, so that we can guarantee that each of the members of that service is in fact running the same code. And we also have an on-chain protocol that allows you to define exactly what agents are part of each service.
Why use Tendermint at all in that case? Why not just run it on your own central server?
I'm going to as well.
Oh, okay. But
yeah.
why is Tendermint in the mix then at all?
Okay, a good couple of points. So first of all, the autonomous stack allows you to build much more complex applications than this. It allows you to run multi-party computation as well, so you can do decentralized machine learning and stuff like this. One of the primary motivations for this approach is the idea of making it accessible. Now, please bear in mind, like, we're very, very early here. We've had like two full hacks on this.
I don't think you answered the question.
Let me finish. Let me finish. So the idea is, once we actually have an accessible front end, it'll be very easy for a user to just deposit their funds into that vault and then have a trustless, decentralized application actually manage those funds in a verifiable way.
You just made a big leap there, because you went from running your own Tendermint chain, right, to having a trustless chain. That's a big difference. Okay, you just made a really huge leap.
Let me re-articulate that. So we use Tendermint as effectively a consensus gadget, which means that we're only literally using it to go ahead and secure the transitions between states. Our on-chain protocol, which is autonomous.tech, actually defines each of the agent services along with exactly what agent addresses are part of each service, meaning that the agents themselves are unable to talk to each other unless they're defined on-chain as being part of a cohort of that service, meaning that their computation and the output of that, for example, the transactions that they then execute, is secured on-chain in a trustless manner.
So different people are controlling different agents, and these agents are communicating with each other? Do I understand that correctly?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Which means that anyone, for example, any protocol could go ahead and run one of these agents or multiple of these agents.
And these agents can learn from each other then, I would assume?
So at the moment, that's an area that the protocol is moving in, integrating LLMs, for example, to make one-shot transactions based on like user descriptions. We've got other ideas in the pipeline about, for example, using LLMs to go ahead and automatically generate the strategies as well. However, I wouldn't necessarily think of the agents as learning from each other in this case. What I would more think of them as doing is they all implement the same code. They use Tendermint to ensure that they're all executing the same part of the same code and that they're all actually processing the same data.
Okay, that makes sense. So
I'm very sorry, but we have other All-Stars pitches. Thank you so much. No, yeah.
I'll make a final comment here.
Final comment.
I think just to cut it short, I think that I disagree with the way you presented this as something for normal users. I think this should be marketed for power users. I think there's a degree of that's problematic, getting quote-unquote normal users to use something like this. I see a lot of potential for wrongdoing there.
Thank you so much. Round of applause for Rysk and Autonomous Labs. We actually have more All-Stars track than I expected. So the stage is yours. You have 5 minutes. Round of, well, do you need help? This track was kind of a loose cannon, but I'm happy to see all these new projects. You have 5 minutes.
Awesome. Hey, I'm Kevin, co-founder of One Delta, and this is my co-founder Achim. And we run a startup in the DeFi space, building a decentralized margin trading protocol. Last weekend, we participated at the ETH Global Lisbon Hackathon and won 2 first prizes, the one from OneInch and one from Aave. And yeah, today we want to show you a little bit more what we do at One Delta and with our specific project, OneFX, that we built last weekend.
Sorry to interrupt, but we can't see your screen on the...
So do you plug it in? Okay.
So yeah, so where does One Delta belong? So we have DEX. At the base layer, we have, of course, like EVMs or blockchains. Then we have certain digital assets on top of them, and then we have platforms who make use of these assets, like DEXs, lending protocols. And off top of these, we have DEX aggregators like OneInch, and also lending aggregators like Fuji Finance. However, though, what was kind of missing in this space is something that combines both of these sides, DEXs and lending protocols, which is essentially the margin trading in a classical sense. And One Delta is a protocol that enables exactly that. So I want to directly showcase how generally a lending protocol works for maybe someone who has never seen something like this. So usually you supply some assets, and with that supplied, you can collateralize them and also borrow some other assets, usually from the same pool. The problem oftentimes with these lending protocols is that you can only withdraw and supply and repay and borrow. So if you want to build a margin position, you would actually supply, let's say, sushi, then you can borrow USDT. But if you want to increase the position itself, you have to loop through it, meaning that you borrow USDT, you would swap it to sushi, supply the sushi, and then your credit line increases slightly, and then you can loop through that, which is, of course, a very, very poor approach to the matter. So One Delta essentially, this is more or less a showcase of it. You see essentially the same positions. So you see the same positions in Aave as you've just seen, just in the One Delta interface. What we added is an actual trading interface that lies on top of a lending protocol. So what you can do is you can pick now more than one currency, and that allows you to do trades like collateral swaps if you pick 2 on the collateral side. You can also do debt swaps. In that case, you would, for instance, if you would open that interface, you would have a regular swap interface that can use Uniswap or OneInch, and you would, in that case, borrow USDC to repay your USDT without the requirement of looping or doing any manual transactions. And of course, a very interesting part of this is also that you can directly trade on margin, meaning that you can use flash swaps or flash loans to directly supply a large sum of wrapped ether. If you pick 15, this is Polygon Mumbai, so don't worry if I lose out here. But in the end, I see a margin requirement there. That is essentially the credit line that I need to open this position. This is a testnet, so don't get confused by the prices, but the idea is that you essentially can spin up a position in a single click, and also you can potentially just self-liquidate in a single click, which is a big problem in nowadays margin trading, because if you're stuck in a position with low health factor, the unwinding process usually consists of withdraw a minuscule amount, swap it, repay, withdraw a little larger amount, swap and pay, and so on. And this allows you theoretically
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry.
Round of applause. I had to cut. We have more All-Stars. Guys, do your job.
So yeah, to cut this a little, sorry?
Now the judges. The judges do your job.
Oh.
No, none of us did.
Yeah, thanks for the pitch. I have to say, really slick interface. Looks really, really nice. The first question which came to my mind, I mean, from a desirability point of view, I get your point. There's definitely a pain point which you are addressing here. But I'm not sure from a viability perspective, how is the competition landscape looking like here? Are there several players already doing this or trying to solve this problem?
There are a handful of protocols that use similar approaches, but usually they rely on vault mechanics, which usually means that they bunch multiple user positions into one vault and then allow trading through that. The disadvantage, of course, is the exploitability. And as you've seen here, you see this directly on Aave. So we can onboard users directly from Aave. And so far, we are the only ones, as far as I'm aware, that actually allowed to do this. And also, we are also I think, the only ones who integrate the three, also OVIX, which has compound v2 mechanics, and also compound v3, which also has not seen any larger integrations.
All right, I guess time is limited, so I will keep it with one question.
Yeah, sure. How do you see monetizing this product?
So there are multiple ways. Of course, swap fees that we can charge. We use for a compound v2 architecture abstract accounts. For this, we can also charge interest margin for enabling the users essentially to trade through our platform. On top of this, I didn't come to it, but for the hackathon, we built in one day a gasless transaction mechanism through a relayer. And we could charge a user a fee that allows them to pay no gas fee, but they would pay the fee with USDC, and then they could trade without paying any network currency for the gas.
And so this is a smart contract that's layered above the contracts that you're interacting with, if I understand how this works correctly?
For architecture-wise, you use ERC20 permit to gasless transfer, and that permit is then consumed by a relayer or can be consumed by an entry point to an abstract account. And anybody can execute it, and of course the architecture ensures that the owner of the permit will also hold the margin position in the end.
Okay, great. And I actually agree, that's a very slick interface. So, and I can also acknowledge that it's a use case that it can definitely be useful for people.
Yeah, maybe just the small showcase of what we actually built. So everybody knows GMX, and of course you can spin up that thing like GMX. So you merge a bunch of these mechanics together, and of course you just know how it looks, and then you get right away this sort of margin trading look. And just maybe for a small showcase, you can here with a wallet, or only if you have time. It costs maybe 1 minute.
But you're making DeFi Legos more accessible, and I do commend that.
Yeah, exactly. This is a retail interface, for instance, whereas the other base layer can be used more for instance, for the option trading, or for automated strategies on lending protocols. But with these basic mechanics, you can spin up all sorts of margin trading. Here, for instance,
And a round of applause for One Delta. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, all of these projects will be available, and all the links, we'll share everything so that you can geek out at home and watch all of this in more details. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome on stage our next All-Stars, Spark.
Yeah. Oh, we're supposed to be free, right?
Hey everyone.
Okay. Ooh, wait, one last thing. I wanted to make sure it was really funny. There was all these. There's 3 projects that are still missing and that are supposed to go upstairs. They're inside now. Okay, no worries. It was Crap Coin. I wanted to shout out DeFi Wolf and DQT. But I hope everybody's upstairs. Have a wonderful presentation. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Hello? Yeah, there's no connection. It doesn't work. How do I make it work? Okay, we have issues now. So we're a Spark team. We are building an order book on Fuel Network. Fuel Network is an L2 on Ethereum that nobody knows so far. Yeah. Does it work?
Yes.
Oh, it does. Okay, cool. So Fuel is an L2, like I said. It's Rust-based. It's the first non-EVM L2 that has a couple of cool features like transaction parallelization, and native account abstraction, which is actually what we are using a lot. It has UTXO model for privacy, and it's also very efficient for on-chain data. So altogether, it's a great environment to build a Serum type of an order book or stock exchange type of an order book on Ethereum ecosystem, of course, because this thing runs on Ethereum, though it's an L2. Our product conceptually is very similar to Serum on Solana. So the problem that we're resolving is the limitation of the EVM, of course. You cannot build an efficient order book on the EVM because you will only have a few transactions per second. We are using predicates, which apparently is the implementation of the native account abstraction on Fuel. Predicates are scripts that work like an escrow in this particular case. And this gives a certain set of trade-offs, like we execute all the orders in our order book outside the smart contract. At the same time, it's all on-chain. It's fully on-chain, which makes it regulation resistant. We don't have that off-chain order execution part, which is the target of, well, regulators, let's say, because you cannot censor the transactions, right, in this case. And we have built a demo, which looks like this. And it uses predicates for the order execution. I'll play it to save some time. It's a very classic DEX interface, of course. The beauty of it is that these are the stateless transactions, so they are very data efficient. The size of the transaction is just 4 bytes, which again is very efficient from the on-chain data perspective, and it's super comfy for the traders if you're running the strategies on top of this order book. And it's finalized on the Ethereum blockchain. Fuel is great for traders also because it's very easy and cheap to bridge the assets. You log them on L1 and you start trading on L2. So from the liquidity perspective, it's very well positioned. From the tech side, it's different from any other L2 on Ethereum just because it's non-EVM compatible once again. Yeah, so that's pretty much. Do you have questions?
So actually, I'm as I did a talk earlier, being a critic of layer 2 scaling, but I did actually mention that I think DEXs are actually a great use case for layer 2s. And as far as I understand, this is a specific...
yeah, that's exactly what, like we want to expand Ethereum DeFi ecosystem by building completely new products to this space that weren't possible to build before because we're building infrastructure, like order book-based infrastructure for that. So
I think this is a great match for a layer 2. I think that makes perfect sense to me. I think that's great. I'm curious though, because you said censorship resistant, you had that image before. How do you solve some of these problems, like with the sequencer, for example? Like, is that fully decentralized?
So sequencer is in progress. It's going to be fully decentralized, yes, 100%.
How are you decentralizing the sequencer?
I mean, it's a question to Fuel, I guess, rather than to us. How do we decentralize the sequencer, sir? We're still working on that.
Right. So I think maybe the claim made there was you maybe jumped the gun a little bit with saying it's censorship resistant. It has all these properties.
This research wasn't done by us. It's done by Blockchain Capital, actually, who are one of the early backers of the Fuel. We're just expanding this idea into building a product outside the. I mean, from this idea.
I will say the UX looks great, so well done. I did notice this was a video, not an actual demonstration.
It was a video, but I can show you the actual demo. It's right here.
We probably don't have time for that. So I was just making sure that you actually had the demo, so that was good.
Demo is there.
Yeah, so my main criticism is really how you're presenting it, because if the sequence was not decentralized, you can't exactly claim censorship resistance. because the sequencer is able to reorder transactions. But I think I'm going over time here, so I should pass it on to my peers.
I think the implementation of what we're trying to discuss, it's not the sequencer that is being decentralized.
Yeah, I understand. You're building on top of a pre-existing layer 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that layer 2, if it doesn't decentralize the sequencer, then you inherit the problems of that layer 2, therefore. And it's able to exclude transactions, potentially.
I don't think it has the sequencer. I think it's implemented in a different way on Fuel.
Okay, well then I'm unaware of the...
I think it's a UTXO, I mean, it's...
Predicats used UTXO data model as a Bitcoin blockchain, and this allows more productivity.
No, it's not specific to an account model or to a UTXO model. So this is a common problem that all L2s have right now. So I'm not exactly saying, oh, it's terrible that you've done this.
Thanks for this question. We'll definitely think further about it.
Fantastic. And if you have some questions as well.
Yes, sure. Yeah, so I'm really fascinated by the parallel transaction execution of Fuel. I was wondering if this is adding some specific value for your project, or maybe you already mentioned it and I missed it. Yes,
definitely we're getting a higher throughput because of that. So they recently implemented a multi-call that allows to run several transactions using predicates, of course, in parallel. And, well, the throughput is higher, so it's good for algorithmic trading. We can, well, make it's more efficient.
Can you give an estimate of TPS, what this is capable of?
Between 2K and 10K.
That's pretty good.
Per second. Yeah, it's
cool.
It's massive.
All right, round of applause. Thank you so much for Spark. Important to be able to answer those fundamental questions about the blockchain you're building on. That's for everybody here. The next project that is coming to the stage is built by Nico, and it's called Prepago. Round of applause for Nico. Also a fellow builder, a local builder from Web3 Labs. You won recently at the ETH Lisbon, correct?
Yeah, exactly. This?
No,
yeah.
Focus on your computer.
Cool. I can do both, I hope.
All right.
Yeah, well, this is a build that we made in Lisbon last week. And yeah, it turned out quite interesting for a lot of people, so I thought it's a quite important topic for me, so I thought, okay, I'll show this here as well. Let's see if this works. Cool. All right, awesome. It should be here.
Also, after the All-Stars pitches, I think we have still one last one to go from the 1inch team, actually, that's hacking during this hackathon as well. We have a change of program a little bit. We won't be doing a Humans of Crypto. Some of you may or may not have seen the news. Last night, there was a Tornado Cash exploit. And Karen from Railgun and Amin will do a deep dive into what happened yesterday. So that's after the All-Stars track. The stage is yours.
Cool. Thank you, Ellie. Hi, everyone. I'm Nico, co-founder of Troop Labs. Sorry, I'm giving you the back. And I work with another Bolivian and a German on this product. I know it sounds kind of like the beginning of a joke, but it's actually quite a serious topic that we were working on. 1 second. Here. We built Prepago, which are scratch-off disposable prepaid crypto cards. To give you a little bit of context, Bolivia is on the brink of an economic crisis. The central bank has almost run out of dollars, and thus people cannot withdraw their dollars from their normal bank. People are lining up. And on top of that, well, this actually happened already in Venezuela and Argentina in the past. You know, like there are massive premiums in the black market for dollars because that's the way for people to protect their wealth. And on top of that, crypto is forbidden in Bolivia. It's not illegal or criminalized, but like if the bank sees that you are transacting with crypto, they block your account. Regardless, people still go to Binance P2P and buy crypto at a huge premium right now because of the situation. And we recently found out that this is happening in Argentina as well, where the central bank is forbidden the buy and sell to these payment providers. So our solution are prepaid scratch-off crypto cards, kind of like crypto gift cards that are a direct on-ramp to crypto. We say like a bankless onboarding, privacy preserving, permissionless issuance, and it's very easy for the user to get them. They don't need a wallet or anything. And the best part is that people in Bolivia are already used to this method because they use these scratch-off cards to top up their phone credit. And this is how the card will look like. Yeah, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but like the main topic for this hack was to bring awareness to this situation, and we know that there are a bunch of challenges with this, and this is not a thing that gets solved in a weekend. And yeah, we want to find a solution with all the smart people here, so creating a group to see how we can bounce this idea. I'll jump right into the demo. I'll just show you a video because just don't want to risk it. Or should I risk it? Let's risk it. YOLO. Okay, so as you saw, you can issue a card. Let's say, I don't know, 0.01 ETH. This is girly. Let's see that I'm in the right. So then you generate the card, and you, of course, need to download the keys in case something happens. Just download them. Yep. And it generates the card. This is how the example of a card will look like. Then you have to fund it. There you go. You fund the card. Let's wait for the confirmation. Let's hope I'm in time for this.
You have 1 minute and 49, 48,
All right.
47.
Oof, oof. The time pressure. Thank you, MetaMask. All right, it's funded. So now you can try it out. Like if you scan this QR code, this is a public QR code that will be in the card. So you will see that the card is funded. So is that for the buyer to check that the card is funded, and for the buyer of the card to activate it. So because I issued this card. Oh man, my phone is not working now. Right, okay. I'm just gonna copy the link here to show you how it works. Yeah. Come on. All right, now it's taking a bit to load, but like because I'm connected with this wallet, it should show a button to validate it here in a bit. The indexer is a bit slow sometimes.
50, 49.
Okay.
48.
Let me just show you the video. But basically, oh, there you go. Activate card. All right, executing. 30 seconds. I think we can make it. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, and whoever is the fastest will claim this beautiful 0.01 ETH girly once I turn around the card. So card has been successfully done. So I turn around the card, and like, of course, this should be printed, but this is kind of like where people should scratch off the card. So whoever scans that QR code will be able to claim like this girly ETH. So
put all your wallets in the air.
That's what we've
all
built.
Of you.
Woo! Just in time. Great.
Amazing. Questions, judges?
Thank you. So yes, I also have to say, really, really amazing project, a really cool thing to work on. I was wondering, do you need, as a recipient, also gas in your wallet to be able to receive the funds?
With all the emotion, I missed the most important part. Actually, you don't. You also don't need a wallet to claim it. Like you can sign it with Web3 auth to like Facebook or like with your email and then claim it. Of course, it's not the most secure, but you know, to onboard, like it's a great first step. And yeah, like to claim it, we're using account abstraction from safe to self-pay, like the money in the account pays for the transaction itself.
So as far as I understand this, the user wouldn't actually be going through this, well, the target user at least wouldn't be going through this process that you just showed. It would be the retailer that would go through this process and then sell these cards to people, right? So you mentioned it being permissionless, or sorry, trustless, sorry.
I said permissionless, actually.
Yeah. But wouldn't the retailer, I mean, it would be trivial for them to know the private key themselves. So I would question whether it would still require trust in the retailer, unless I'm mistaken in that assumption.
No, yeah, definitely. And what I meant is like permissionless issuance. So anybody this is kind of like a public good, so anybody can issue the cards. That's what we meant. For sure, like you're completely right with the trust.
So you've got to be careful of how you do the wording there, because that might lead to a misunderstanding. You're aware, this use case has been done before. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of a business plan to bring about adoption of this technology? Because I think this is less of a technological challenge and more of like an adoption challenge. Do you have ideas about how to bring that about?
Well, as I said, like we took this approach because it's very familiar to people in Bolivia. Right now, I feel that people in Bolivia are getting very desperate to get anything. So I hope that could drive mass adoption. There's still a lot of, people who would buy these cards would normally be probably the people who would think that crypto is a scam as well. So it's a tough one. We think that the trust that people have to merchants that like sell these phone cards can trigger more trust to the end user, but yeah, it's a big challenge.
And I think it should be made more clear that the end user would still have to trust the merchant, that they're not just going to swipe that address as soon as they walk out of the store. I think that should be maybe highlighted a bit more as a concern.
Sure. We did our best to do that because actually, when you verify the card as a merchant or as an issuer, like that's when the card gets activated. So like if the cards were to be stolen, then they wouldn't work for the guy who steals it. And that's why there's a QR code that's public also on the other side of the card, because I as a buyer can check that the card is funded, and then then I'm sure that I can buy this card, and like. It reduces the trust part there.
And I just want to echo the point you made. I think this is a very good public good, so I just want to congratulate on that. That's fantastic.
Amazing.
Thank
Congrats.
you. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We are blown away by the amount of submissions. For the normal hackathon, we had 53 submissions, so congratulations to all the team. If you have not pitched already, and if you have not gone upstairs, the cutoff time for pitching is at 3:30. So whoever needs to still go pitch, please go upstairs. I believe we still have one last All-Stars track. Stand up or rest forever. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much to our judges. Any final remarks regarding this All-Stars? Briefly.
I will be brief. I'm actually very impressed. Like, I'm usually very critical of projects, I think, as some of you know. And I was expecting to be a bit harsher, but I think I was very impressed with the quality of the work that's done here. So, yeah, congratulations to everyone that was involved.
Thank you. Tim?
I totally agree with you. I guess the projects which were built did show that crypto can solve some real pain points and have some real use cases. So yeah, really fascinated by listening to these projects.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Round of applause for our judges. Thank you.